I'm going to do a quick recap. I did a couple of videos yesterday about how my husband's VA therapist decided to use his therapy content for YouTube content on a channel that it appears she's trying to monetize. I don't know if she is or she isn't. I have not gotten that far. A lot of people have said, oh, you're wrong, doesn't meet HIPAA criteria. And I'm not going to argue with that, honestly, because it's hit or miss. I'm not an attorney, but I did do a lot of research, and I have found some case law that actually supports the argument that what she did is technically breaking the HIPAA law. I'll find that out in court or if they settle this claim or whatever, okay? So I'll back up just a little bit. I filed a federal tort claim. She is a federal employee. I have confirmation that she's a federal employee, so I can't just go after her malpractice insurance. I have to file what they call a federal tort claim with the US government. So I did that on March 20th of 2025. I filed that. Now how this works is it goes for review. They determine if you might have a claim or not, and then they either ignore you or they send you a rejection, and you can file in federal court. If they have 6 months from the date they received it. So they received it on the 20th. I sent it on the 17th of March. If they don't send me an answer or a settlement offer or a request to extend by September 20th, then on September 21st, I can turn around and file a federal tort lawsuit. I am not a lawyer. I'm having to take a crash course in lawyering, and I did find someone who can at least point me in the right direction as far as my arguments and recitations and all that stuff. I went ahead and started preparing that filing because I'm not a lawyer. I know somebody who is a lawyer and is happy to review it for me before I file it. This initially started off as oh my God, did she really use your information for content? And I was angry, whatever. So we did not know this. I did not know this until maybe October or November of 2024. And I said then, this is completely unacceptable. Okay, well, without going into all the fucking details about my husband's life, because I am trying to keep some of his shit private, but still bring awareness. He did not get better. He did not get better under her care. He did not get better after her care. And even though he had an amazing therapist after her, he still continued to decline. And because of these videos, he did not open up to his new therapist the same way he probably would have had this not happened. The original therapist, we're just going to call her Dr. D because she's a dickhead. And she made him feel as if she had an issue with him being in an interracial marriage. He is black, I am white. And several comments were made to that effect. When he told me initially, I was like, you shouldn't even know she has a bias, but I let it go because, you know, I was encouraging him to do this. And there's really a lot more that goes into why I missed the red flags. I don't want to focus on that right now. We can focus on that later, but we were both under an immense amount of stress just due to other things we had going on in our life. He talked about me a lot in therapy and some of the struggles we were having because of the stress we were under. And she basically told him, and she actually even wrote this in one of the notes, that it seemed like he spent a lot of time defending me. And so then it started creating a rift between him and I. And so we were just so bogged down with stress that I didn't see it, he didn't see it. Again, that's a side story. Anyway, so moving on, a couple of things came out. He had asked for a specific program that he wanted to get into, and he actually would have met the criteria by VA policy based on what was going on with him at the time. She did not refer him to anything, and I can see in his chart, that she did not refer to anything. And for those of you who are not familiar with the VA system, we can see our own charts within a day or two of whatever somebody writes. So when this started happening, I asked him to pull his records just from that doctor, so he did. He had a session where he was really struggling emotionally and he screamed at her the whole time, which was kind of normal for like therapy. But apparently there came a period where he just wasn't really making a lot of sense. And she recommended that he go inpatient, but then she wrote in his chart that he, like all his MSE, mental status exam, like were normal, which contradicts what she wrote in the note itself. She also did not do a suicide risk assessment, which you would want to do if you think your client is presenting in crisis. There's also a point where if she felt it was necessary, she could violate the confidentiality and contact me, his wife, to let me know, hey, I think he might not be okay. I think we need to get him to a hospital. She did none of that, okay? So at the time, he's doing telehealth in the home. Other people are home. And we could potentially be at risk because when you are doing trauma therapy, which that's a whole other story from my opinion, I don't even think she was doing that correctly, and I'll get into that later. But when you are doing trauma therapy, if you have somebody that seems like they're going into crisis during or after your session, that's when they're at most risk for harm to themselves or other people. So to not notify me was another issue. This video's been kind of long, so I will try to answer some of the other questions I've seen and get into some more of the backstory as I can without saying too much. There's a couple reasons why I can't share her name because it's pending litigation. Cannot name her YouTube channel for the same exact reason, because if people go and start brigading her or harassing her, then it's going to create an issue for what I'm doing. What I'm trying to do is get awareness, because I have a sneaky feeling that we are not the only people who have had this issue after pulling the reports that the VA has to give Congress every so often. I've been able to look at those, and it seems like Georgia in and of itself has a problem, not just with their laws, but with the oversight in the VA. A lot of reasons why I can't say more. Trust me, I want to blab my fucking mouth as much as possible, but I will try to answer some more questions, and then I will try to talk about some of the other potential issues that put him at risk. And I just want to remind everybody that, because I've had this come up a couple times, oh, well, you're sharing his information. One, I have his consent. Not only that, I gained his consent after he felt like he was mentally well enough for me to share his story. And I actually wasn't even going to share his story publicly, but I keep hitting brick wall after brick wall after brick wall with the government. So that is why I waited so long to start publicly sharing his story, on top of the fact that I wanted to make sure that he was mentally okay before I do it. Second of all, I'm still sharing a lot fucking less than she did. And third of all, like, if he and I have to tell our story so that this never happens to someone else, then I guess that's something that we will just have to sacrifice, is that fucking privacy. We've made it this far. Thank you so much for staying till the end.